Welcome to the Depot Sports Chat. I'm Drew Rubenstein. I'm joined with Kristin Kurelic, and Kristin will take a look at this week's area high school football games. And we'll start off with Morgantown High and specifically Chazzy Thomas. Not just the talk in Monongalia County and Morgantown, but now kind of statewide after he set the Mon County record, 396 rushing yards, and led the Mohegans back from 16 points down to beat Wheeling Park in overtime last week. Not the first time he's had that kind of a performance either. Can you put into historic perspective a little bit of what Chazzy's been able to do through the first 7 games of the season?
Sure. Like you said, statewide, Chazzy is by far the leader in rushing, scoring, all of that across the state. Now we're starting to look at not just comparing him to his classmates, but comparing him to record holders, and he is on pace to potentially break some state records this year. If you look back in those records, the rushing record for a regular season belongs to Jordan Roberts of Scott, and that record is 2,895 yards. Chazzy's at 1,989 right now, so he's on pace that for a regular season he needs about 302 more yards per game to get that record, which, that's a big number, but
right.
he's been putting up those sorts of numbers. Same thing with points per game. He needs about 26 more points per game to break the points record. Even his rushing average per game, he's about 5.4 yards off of the rushing average per game. So, he needs to do big things in the next 3 weeks, but it's nothing he hasn't been doing up to this point.
Well, let's talk a little bit about his style of running, too. Everybody knows he's a speedster, but it sounds like, again, evidenced Friday night against Wheeling Park, he's got a little toughness and a little bit more of he's able to grind out some yards that maybe people wouldn't necessarily imagine or think of whenever they first look at him.
Yeah, he's not a big guy for a running back, and he has a lot of those highlight reel sorts of plays. I think he had a 70-yard touchdown run, an 87-yard touchdown run, even had a 41-yard reception for a touchdown. His first reception of the season made that count. But more telling probably were the runs that he got probably in the final possession. Morgantown's down. They need to score in the final about 2 minutes or that game's over. They get in 2 situations on 4th down. It was about 4th and 3 at once and 4th and 9 or 4th and long of some sort. Yeah. And he goes for the 4th down both times. One time he barely gets it, has to go for the hard run, dives across the line. Another time, he turns that 3 yards into 14. And they were just tough runs, and that you can count on him. It was just pretty much heart at that point.
That's interesting, and you'd have to imagine he's up high on the Kennedy Award watch list, if not the front runner at this point, so we'll keep seeing how he does the rest of the season. Next game, University High's back at home, hosting John Marshall. The Hawks, you'd probably be hard-pressed to find a team that's been more decimated by injuries than them, I would think. Yeah,
they have had a hard time with that this year for sure. Last week we talked about they were supposed to get Billy Kinney back, their all-state kicker from last year. Well, he was coming back, and then he goes out the day before the game and hurts his ankle again, and he didn't end up playing. And he may punt a little bit for them this week, but that's kind of still up in the air at this point. But the really bad news for University this week is they have now lost 3 starting offensive linemen. 2 of them were also starting defenders, and that's a huge loss. One of them, Nick Fisher, he's out for the season, tore all the ligaments in his knee, and he plays left guard for them. They also lost Jeff Headley, their left tackle, and Nick Lambert, their center. So John Kelly was, in a little bit of a pickle this week. He's going to be looking at moving Tyler Picktel, who has been playing fullback all year. He's the second leading rusher behind quarterback Travis Renner, and he's going to probably be moving into that guard spot.
Okay.
He's not a guard, but one of those kids who just has the attitude of, if the team needs me to do it, I'm going to do it. And then at tackle, we'll probably be getting a couple younger JV sorts of players in their tackle and center. So, we'll see how those guys can step up this week.
Speaking to John Kelly, and I guess what we'll see, do you think this is going to change what they do offensively, or does he have confidence in these guys and they're going to just keep doing what they've been doing?
He did say he's probably going to just keep things pretty simple. At this point, University has been getting into some sorts of, trick plays, even letting the players design some plays and run things that look kind of like you'd see on a schoolyard. They're probably not going to be doing that as much because these guys really just had 3 practices to entirely switch positions.
Yeah,
So.
that makes sense. Last 2 games we'll take a look at. Preston's at East Fairmont. Clay-Battelle's back also after a bye week at Cameron. What do we expect from the Knights and CBs coming off a week of rest and relaxation?
I would expect probably 2 wins. Preston's got 2 wins so far at this point. They had a tough loss in their last game 2 weeks ago. They had a shootout, lost 46-40 over at Hedgesville. East Fairmont is not real strong. It's a 1-win AA team, so that's another potential win for Preston, a 3rd win of the season. It would tie their record of last year.
Right.
And then CB honestly should probably roll at Cameron. Cameron is a 3-3 team, and probably just doesn't quite have the offensive firepower that Clay-Battelle does.
All right, very good, Kristin. Appreciate your time, and please continue to check theedpost.com for all the latest on the area high school teams. Thanks for tuning in today.